Assalamualaikum and good day to Dr. Nur Saadatunisa binti Ahmad. Today, I will be presenting my individual assignment for Human Resource Development, focusing on a highly critical contemporary challenge in our field, evaluating the return on investment or ROI of training and development. As strictly required by our assignment guidelines, I would like to officially acknowledge the foundational studies supporting my presentation today. I will be reviewing the journal article titled Understanding Training and Development ROI, authored by Martin Mashka and published in April 2024 on ResearchGate. In the modern corporate landscape, organizations spend billions annually on training. However, human resource professionals face a massive ongoing dilemma. How do we prove that intangible training, especially soft skills like leadership, communication, and emotional intelligence, actually improve an organization's bottom line? Martin Mashka's study addressed this exact conflict, exploring why traditional, purely financial ROI metrics fall short and how organizations must adapt to a more holistic evaluation framework. Let's dive into the core challenges highlighted in the study. Before we look at the challenges, we must first clearly define what training and development ROI actually means in a modern human resource context. Traditionally, many business managers look at ROI through a strictly financial lens, using a basic mathematical formula, subtracting the training cost from the financial benefits, dividing it by the cost, and multiplying by 100 to get a percentage. However, Martin Mashka highlights that in modern human resource development, return on investment is a dual endeavor. It is formally defined as the comprehensive measurement of both quantitative metrics, such as direct productivity gains or cost savings, balanced alongside qualitative assessments. This means true ROI must account for intangible behavioral modifications, improved employee engagement, and the long-term strategic alignment of skills within the workforce. In short, ROI isn't just about the money saved, it's about the value created. To understand why measuring ROI is so critical, we must first look at the strategic importance of training and development itself. In modern human resource development, T&D is not just an optional employee benefit. It is a vital mechanism for organizational survival, driven by three key factors. First is strategic alignment. Training and development is the bridge that connects an organization's and human capital directly its long-term business goals. When training is effective, employee capabilities move in the exact same direction as the company's strategic vision. Second, it prevents capability erosion. In a fast-changing business environment, skills decay rapidly without continuous training and development. An organization's collective knowledge and capabilities erode over time, causing the company to lose its competitive edge. Third, training and development actively closes the skill gap. There is a constant mismatch between the skills employees currently possess and the evolving demands of the workplace. Targeted training and development programs pinpoint and eliminate these deficiencies, ensuring the workforce remains sharp, agile, and future-ready. Because the stakes are this high, proving the return on investment of these programs becomes an absolute necessity for human resource leaders. To truly understand the weight of this issue, Martin Mashka's study invites us to look at the training and development as a double-edged sword, meaning it carries a dual impact that can either elevate or damage both the employee and the organization simultaneously. Let's look at the first H, the employee. When an organization evaluates and designs training correctly, the employee experiences genuine skill enhancement, higher engagement, and career growth. However, if the evaluation fails and the training is irrelevant to their day-to-day job, it cuts the other way. Employees experience intense frustration, role disconnect, and digital fatigue because they are being forced to learn things they cannot use. Now, let's look at the second H, the organization. When return on investment is managed strategically, the organization gains a massive competitive advantage, better team retention, and clear financial value. But when a company ignores proper return on investment frameworks, the negative edge strikes. The organization suffers from heavy wasted corporate budget, pouring thousands into programs that yield zero practical returns, while creating a culture of distrust between upper management and human resource. Therefore, mastering training and development return on investment isn't just an administrative task. It is about controlling this double-edged sword so it builds the company up instead of cutting it down. Now that we understand what training and development return on investment means, let us discuss the core issue highlighted in Marcin Majka's study. Why is evaluating this return on investment such a massive challenge for organizations today? According to the article, the root of the problem comes down to four primary causes. First is the problem of intangible and subjective data, unlike hard technical skills, where you can easily measure if an employee knows how to use a software. Soft skills like leadership, empathy, and conflict resolution do not leave immediately direct financial trails. They are abstract and highly subjective, making them incredibly difficult to track on a standard balance sheet. Second, the study highlights participant bias. When organizations do try to measure training effectiveness, they often rely heavily on post-training surveys, frequently called smile sheets. The challenge here is that employees often fill these out based on how much they like the trainer or the free lunch, which leads to bias, superficial data that overstates the actual long-term impact on performance. Third is the lack of a pre-training baseline. Majka notes that many companies rush into training programs without establishing a clear benchmark of performance before the sessions begin. Without a clear starting point, it becomes mathematically and logically impossible to measure if any progress was actually made afterward. Finally, content irrelevance. Return on investment drops to zero if the training content does not directly align with the employee's day-to-day operational realities. If the skills taught cannot be immediately applied to their actual job task, the training fails to transfer, making the organization investment completely obsolete. When an organization fails to address these evaluation challenges, the negative impacts ripple across the entire company. According to Marcin Majka, these are two major consequences that severely damage an organization's bottom line. The first major impact is wasted corporate budget. When companies cannot properly analyze and measure training outcomes, they end up pouring thousands of dollars into expensive, flashy programs that yield zero practical results. Without a return on investment framework to filter out what doesn't work, training becomes a massive financial drain rather than a strategic investment, resulting in heavily wasted resources. The second impact is low employee engagement and failure of skill transfer. The effectiveness of any training is deeply tied to how engaged employees are. When training feels irrelevant or when managers provide absolutely no post-training support, employees lose motivation. They leave the classroom, return to their desk, and immediately go back to their old habits. This total failure of skill transfer means the company lost out on potential productivity gains, leaving their workforce stagnant. Now that we can see how devastating these impacts can be, let us look at the practical recommendations proposed by Majka to fix the problem. To overcome these challenges and prevent wasted budget, Marcin Majka outlines a proactive strategic roadmap for modern organizations. First, we must establish clear performance baseline. Before any training program is even launched, HR must anchor it to explicit, measurable benchmark. If we know exactly where performance stands at a day 0, we can accurately measure the growth achieved by day 90. Second, we need to integrate quantitative and qualitative data. We must look past simple financial metrics by combining hard data with qualitative assessment, such as 360-degree feedback, long-term behavior tracking, and team retention rates. We get a true holistic view of soft skill development. Finally, we must foster post-training support. True return on investment happens back at the workplace, not in the classroom. Organizations must build a supportive culture where leaders encourage and give employees the space to continuously practice and adapt their newly acquired skills on the job. In conclusion, evaluating training and development return on investment is undeniable complex, but it is a critical necessity. By shifting away from purely financial calculations and adopting Martin Majka's holistic dual method approach, human resource professionals can transform training from an unpredictable corporate expense into a powerful, measurable driver of strategic business growth.